Greetings, everyone. We've just gone live. I'm just doing the check, mic check, 1 2 1 2. Excellent. So we will be starting at 7 o'clock. So we've got a few minutes, just setting up so that I can be ready to start on time. I hope everyone's good. Everyone's had a good day today. Everyone's well. Okay. So just to introduce myself for those who don't know me, my name is Ezra, Voice of Reason. I am the founder and managing director of Edifying Answers, which is a training consultancy where we seek to empower people through our transformational workshops. I also do various other things. I have a monthly podcast that I do, which is called Unlocking Insight, which covers all different topics. You can go on there. We are on Spotify, we are on Apple, and various other platforms. I also do every 2 weeks, I do a blog on my website. I cover all different topics. At the moment, I'm looking at masculine and feminine energies and the importance of having a balance between the two, kind of like our yin and our yang, the soft elements and the strong elements, and how we need to combine the two rather than being one dimensional. I'm also I also deliver various different workshops. I'm going to be delivering a free workshop on the 18th of March, which is called Healthy Habits for Success. So, looking at how our habits can help us to achieve our goals and our dreams and our desires. But if we don't know how to create the right ones and how to break the bad ones, we can end up creating a lot of problems for ourselves because our habits, first we make our habits and then our habits make us. So it's really important to be aware of that. So that is going to be a workshop that I'm doing in partnership with Wolf and Forest and the BICP. So if you just type in Secrets to Success in Eventbrite, you should see it come up. There should still be some spaces available. So if you are interested, I'll book sooner rather than later to avoid disappointment. It's going to be a powerful workshop. I'm sure you'd be able to get some important tips from there. But today is all about the 21 tips for building confidence. 21 tips for building confidence. And so while we're kind of waiting for people to come in, just want to share with you some quotes around confidence and just to touch on them a bit because I think they're really powerful and they're really important in helping us to understand the context in terms of confidence a bit more and what it means. So the first quote is from Zig Ziglar, and it says, "You are the only person who can use your ability." I want you to think about that for for a moment. You are the only person who can use your ability. I can't use it. Your brother can't use it. Your parents can't use it. Your partner can't use it. Only you. You are the only one. And so that gift, that talent, those skills that are within you, you're the only one who can use them. And I want to tell you something interesting. There is no one else who will be able to use your skills and abilities like you. So why allow fear, worry, doubt, limiting beliefs to stop you from leaving your mark on the earth? You are the only one that can use your abilities. And I want you to always remember that when you're thinking, when you're doubting yourself, when you're unsure, you're the only one. That gift that is in you, only you can bring it to pass. That's really powerful. That's really powerful. The second quote that I want to share with you says, think about trust and confidence as something that you earn every day, and we will keep at it, earning it every day. So, it's not that confidence is something that one day you arrive and then you have it all, and there's never a reason for you to doubt. There's never a reason for you to think twice about stepping forward. But it's something that you earn every day. It's something that builds up a bit more and a bit more every day. And so the question I want you to ask yourself is, with the situations and the circumstances that you face today, did you allow yourself to grow just a little more in confidence? Did you speak up in a situation where you knew you should today? Was you able to raise a concern that you had, even though you wasn't too sure how it would go? Did you address a situation that of an injustice or something that you saw was wrong, even though you was a bit uncomfortable in doing it? Was there any situation that came up today that allowed you an opportunity to grow a bit more in confidence? Was you trying something new? Was you learning something new? Because that's what should be happening every day. Just growing just a little bit more, adding another speck, another line, just doing a little bit more every day. That's how we grow. That's how we develop. And so I hope that if you didn't today, that from tomorrow, whenever that situation or question or conversation or acts that you need to do to push yourself a bit further, to grow a little bit more, that you will do it. Because that's the game, that's the goal, that's the process. And the more that you do it, little by little, a little becomes a lot. And so when you see that someone who is confident, who's able to do things, and it seems like they can do it effortlessly, that was because daily they've grown in confidence. They've practiced, they've engaged in repetition. And as a result, they become confident. Just like you can become confident in whatever area it is that you desire. It just takes effort, a day by day process. This third one that I want to read to you is one that's really powerful and hard hitting. So I really want you to receive this. And it says, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. And that was by Henry Ford. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. And just think about it for a moment. We have so much power within us. And one of the things that either elevates that power or crushes it is our thoughts. And so it's really important to be aware of what you are entertaining in your mind. What thoughts are you dwelling on? What thoughts are you holding on to? What thoughts are you harboring? Are they healthy? Are they helpful? Do they serve you or do they afflict you? And it's really important to be aware of this, because if you are constantly telling yourself you can't, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because the energy you're putting out into that, the way that you're thinking and focusing on that and visualizing that, you are sending channels to your brain, and through neuroplasticity, you're creating the environment for failure or for success. So it's really important that when you're going into things, to go into it saying you can, saying you will be successful, saying that you can achieve it, believing in yourself. Because whether you think you can or you can't, you are right. So be aware of your thoughts and be aware so that you do not hold yourself captive by your own limiting beliefs. You do not cause yourself to fall into traps and pitfalls of negative mind traps. And there was a famous painter who once made a very profound statement, and that was Vincent van Gogh. And he said, if you hear a voice within you say you cannot paint, then by all means paint, and that voice will be silenced. I'll say that again. If you hear a voice within you say you cannot paint, then by all means paint, and that voice will be silenced. And it's really important that you learn to start doing the thing that your inner critic says you can't do. Because in doing so, you are able to silence it, because it no longer has any more power over you, because you have the evidence base to prove that you can succeed and excel in the things that you put your mind to. And so those were just some little nuggets that I wanted to leave with you before we start. But we're going to get started now, looking at the 21 tips for building confidence. 21 ways in which you can build yourself up and gain more confidence in the things that you want to do. And this is part 2. So if you didn't watch part 1, I would advise you afterwards to go back and watch that, because that's another set of 21. This is the second set. And so we're going to be looking at 21 ways that you can grow in self-confidence. Number 1 is that we have to learn to embrace growth. We have to learn to embrace growth. So self-confidence is a skill that can be learned. It's something that's developed over time. There is no one, and I repeat, no one who was born with the gift of confidence, that they just had it coming out of the womb. Okay? But it is a process that can be learned by anyone with time and with effort as we grow and nurture it. And so it's important to take it a step at a time, a day at a time, a situation at a time, and so that we can grow in confidence through experience and through learning. As a quote I was mentioning earlier, it's something that you earn day by day. Number 2 is that it's very important to start your day the right way. Start your day the right way. So what do I mean by that? I want you to treat every morning like it was the morning of a job interview. If it was the morning of a job interview, how would you conduct yourself? Hopefully, if you've planned ahead, you would make sure everything is in place. You would get up early because you don't want to be late for that meeting, for that interview. You would probably have your breakfast so you can be at your best in terms of focus. You would probably have prepared your clothes from the night before. You'd be making sure that you get things completed on time, that you would leave early enough to even account for if there's delays on the train or on the traffic. And so you would start the right way so that you feel prepared and ready to be your best and to give your best. That's the way we need to start every day. That's the way that brings confidence. Start your day by winning. Start your day by getting up on time and not hitting that snooze button. Because when you start the right way, the day tends to finish the right way as well. And it's when we get up late and things are going wrong and we're missing this and we're missing that and we knock over the coffee that spills everywhere and we get frustrated and then everything seems to be going wrong. We're not confident in that because we haven't even started the day right and we don't show up the right way for work. And it just goes down and down and down. So start the right way. Treat every morning like it is a job interview. Number three, self management, which links in with the previous point. But self management is paramount. So, what I mean by this is that I encourage you to never, and I repeat, never let your happiness or self worth be dependent on being in a relationship with someone or being validated by someone. I'll say that again. Don't make your happiness or your self worth be dependent on being in a relationship with someone or being validated by someone else. Now, don't get me wrong. It's nice if someone can give you an affirmation or say to you, how much, you're a benefit for them or they appreciate you. That's great. But that should only be the icing on the cake for you. That should never be the foundation that determines your self worth or happiness. Because both of those areas of happiness and self worth are inside jobs. They're meant to come from you, they're meant to be a foundational thing that comes from within you. And when we have that mindset and that attitude, when you're happy because of who you are, you're happy because of the values that you walk in. You're happy because you show up and you do your best each day. You have self worth because of how you conduct yourself. And when you start to see yourself from that way, and you are the foundation of what makes you happy and what gives you self worth, confidence grows out of that. So be able to acknowledge who you are, what you do, where you matter in your relationships, in your community, in your workplace, in the things that you do. And let that self management be the foundation so that whether someone validates you or not, you always validate yourself. And whether you're in a relationship or not, you still have happiness because of who you are, because of how you live, because of what you do. And that's key. That's where confidence comes from. Point number four is to pitch your tent. Pitch your tent. So we all have people that we may look up to. We all have someone that we see and, how they present themselves, how they carry themselves, how they speak, how they act, how they can make decisions inspires us. Well, the thing what we should do is pitch our tent next to those people and adopt the behaviors that you see in that high status or successful individual that you like. Mimic that. Don't mimic the person, mimic the characteristic, the skill, the attitude, the mindset that you see in them, and learn from that. See where you can apply that in your day to day situations. So, whether it is that someone can be silent and think things through, they give their answer, start to do that. Whether it is someone can clearly articulate when they don't want to be a part of something or they don't want to do something, learn from that and see where you can apply that to your own life. It's really important that we can learn from others as we see them demonstrate skills and traits, attitudes and behaviors that we could also follow in. Number 5 is understanding the temporal aspect of leadership. Understanding the temporal aspect of leadership. So, what does that mean? You are in charge of time. So, it's important to take your time when speaking. When you have someone's attention, when you're speaking to someone, you have a limited amount of time, but you can use that time wisely. And so, whether it is if you're doing a talk, if it's public speaking, if it's in front of your team, whatever it may be, take your time when you speak. Take your time walking up to the microphone if you're going onto a stage or you're talking from a podium. Take your time in answering questions. All of these type of things demonstrates that you are confident and that you are in control, that no one's rushing you, that you take your time with things. And so understanding that there is an aspect of leadership in just how you conduct yourself, in how you speak, speaks volumes to people. Number 6 is about energy and frequency. Energies and frequency. And so whenever you are talking to someone, there is a exchange that is going on in the invisible realm via our energy and our frequencies. And so it's important that whenever you're speaking to someone, think about the energy that you are transmitting, whether verbal or non-verbal. And you can tell if someone's talking really aggressive and you can feel the energy in the frequency and see it. But also if someone's placid and passive and not really engaging, you can also feel and see the energy. So always be ready to convey and not convince in all that you do. When you speak, speak. When you act, act. When you do, do. Do it with the energy and the frequency, knowing that you can do it. And in order to do it, knowing that you can do it, you have to know your value and your worth. You have to know your value and your worth. And so whenever you are speaking, remember that it's not just what you're saying, but it's how you're saying it. It's how you're showing up. It's how you're presenting yourself that will speak volumes to your audience, whether it's one person or a multitude. Number 7 is repetition, repetition, repetition. And so it's so important to practice to the point that it is no longer novel to you. So in this area, we're talking about confidence. So in the area that you don't feel confident, whether it's public speaking, whether it's talking up in front of your team, whatever it may be, it's the repetition of practicing and practicing and practicing, going over it again and again that builds up your confidence. Because as you do that, you recognize, you experience things, you see things differently, you recognize where a certain behavior or certain way of doing things, whether it was beneficial or whether it created a problem for you, and you tweak and you adapt that and you try it again, and then you realize it works, and then you can have confidence in that way of doing things. It's a continuous process. But if we do not continue with repetition and trying it again and again and again, then we stay stuck. We stay the same. And if you think about it, if at any stage in our lives when we were growing up, when we were young, and we stopped, we wouldn't be walking, we wouldn't be talking, we wouldn't be able to run, we wouldn't be able to do anything, because everything, it took a multiple amount of times for us to be able to do it. And it's the same in adulthood. It's just different situations, different scenarios. So keep repetition, repetition, repetition until it becomes automatic for you. Number 8 is belief. Belief, believing in yourself. You see, there is something really important that I want you to grab a hold of. Make a note of this. Is that people will believe in you when you believe in yourself. People will believe in you when you believe in yourself. You see, the majority of the world is looking to you to see how they should treat you, and they'll do it based on the way you treat yourself. So if you are showing up and showing people that you don't trust yourself, that you don't believe in yourself, that you don't think you can do it, why would they then trust in you? Because you're showing them that you don't even trust in you, and no one knows you like you. And so it's so important to believe in yourself. Trust your instincts. You see, we all have our gut feelings and intuitions, but many people ignore them because you don't believe in yourself. And I want you to start to trust that, to start to listen to your inner counselor, to start to recognize when that gut feeling, that sixth sense is speaking to you. And sometimes it'll be telling you to do something completely random or something that you'd normally do, and it's saying, don't go down that road, or don't take that deal, or speak up now. But as you start to believe and listen to it, I guarantee you, you will see how it will help you. And as a result of that, it will boost your confidence. It will boost your confidence. Number 9 is gratitude. Gratitude. And practicing gratitude is so important because it shifts your perspective and it helps you to focus on what you do have rather than what you don't have. You see, gratitude is like a magnifying glass that identifies the good things in your life, the things that you do have, the things that you are capable of doing, the things that you have achieved. And when we have an attitude of gratitude, it really shifts our perspective from the negative bias that 70% of people operate in. And that is where we allow the one negative thing to override the 6 or 7 positive things that we do have. And so it's really important to have an attitude of gratitude because it helps you to be thankful, to appreciate, and to recognize not just what others have done for you, but what you have done for you. Number 10 is shifting perspectives. So, one of the things that we have to be able to do if we want to grow in confidence is to be able to shift our perspective around things. So, a very interesting thing is that when you feel nervous about something, whether you've got to do public speaking, whether you've got to have a courageous conversation, whether you're doing something new that you've never done before, tell yourself that you are excited. And the reason why I say that is because adrenaline is released whether you are nervous or excited. It's the same experience that you are having when you are happy and when you are nervous, when you are angry and when you are excited. It's the same chemical release, the adrenaline, the fight or flight. And so whenever you're feeling nervous about something you got to do, whenever you're feeling a bit anxious about it, tell yourself that you are excited. Speak it out and say, I'm really excited about this, because the brain listens to what you are telling it. And if you are guiding it to say that I'm actually feeling good about this, I'm excited, that's why I'm experiencing this, your body will adapt to it in that way. And so it's really important to be able to shift perspective in that way and free yourself from the kind of the grip and the hold that nervousness will keep you stuck in. Remember, tell yourself you are excited. Number 11 is to educate yourself. Okay. So one of the things that we can do is when we're feeling a bit unsure, when we're going through and we're kind of doubting ourselves, there's simple things you can do to educate yourself. Reading an inspiring quote, an article, a book, listening to a podcast. Have something that you can go to educate yourself. And also use those tools to learn from their experiences. There is so many books, there's so many resources, there's so many podcasts that talk about ways that you can build yourself up, that you can increase your confidence and your self-esteem and your self-worth. And there is a thing that says, a quote that says, leaders are readers. And the reason for that is because you can turn decades into days. So imagine you can get a book of someone who has gone to school, college, university, got their master's, got their PhD, and has then gone out into the world, researched and done various things. And then they write a book about all of what they've done and what they've learned and what they now understand. And those decades of training and experience and stuff that they've gone through, you can learn in days. You can take the methods and the research and the understanding and the tools and the tips that they have studied and researched, practiced to be able to hone, and you can learn that in days. Educate yourself. Knowledge is power when it's applied and used to benefit yourself. So educate yourself. Number 12 is that you pace in your speech. So when you're talking, to have pace in how you're speaking, rather than just trying to get through things as quick as possible because you feel uncomfortable. So having pauses with what you're saying draws people in and holds their attention, rather than being like machine gun talking like, and just trying to get it out as quick as possible. So take your time when you're talking, pace yourself. And this shows people on a subconscious level that you are the person in charge, that you are competent and confident. So pace yourself when speaking. Number 13 is that it's important to inhale courage. Inhale courage. So, and what is courage? Courage is the ability to show up and try in spite of what the situation or circumstance looks like. That's what courage is. It's to feel the fear and do it anyway. And so we want to inhale courage. And so consciously take a few moments each day, whether you do it first thing in the morning, which is a good time when to start doing it, but also whenever any situation calls for it throughout the day. And inhale courage and exhale fear. So take that breathe in. And when you do it, visualize that you are inhaling courage and as you breathe out, that you're exhaling fear, and visualize it as you're doing it, because there's something very powerful about visualization. Because what research has shown is that when you visualize something, that your brain cannot decipher the difference between what you visualize and what you actually do. And brain scans have shown that when people are actually visualizing, the brain begins to operate, adapt, and shift in the same way as if the person was actually doing it. So you have power within you because of your mind and through visualization and practice to be able to inhale courage, literally, and exhale fear. So I encourage you to begin to start to do that. Inhale courage and exhale fear. You've got to do public speaking, inhale courage and exhale fear. You've got to address a situation with whoever, your partner, your parent, your children, your colleague. Inhale courage and exhale fear. And visualize it so you can achieve it. One of the greatest discoveries a man can make, one of his greatest surprises, is to find he can do what he was afraid he couldn't do. That's a quote from Henry Ford. And so when we actually are brave enough to give it a go, willing enough to try, we actually often find that we could do those things that we once believed we couldn't do. Number 14 is setting goals. Setting goals. And this is something that is really important, to have the skills and the ability to set goals, and not just any goals, but smart goals. And for those, I'm sure you're probably aware of the acronym SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. And these are the 5 elements that you need to consider when you're setting goals. And so start off setting small goals so that you can achieve it, those low hanging fruits. Because when you achieve that and you do it, it gives you that confidence and it makes you be willing to continue to go on and to try and do bigger things. The problem is, people often make the mistake of shooting for the moon. They're trying to reach that mammoth task straight away. And when they fail, they get discouraged and they think, I can't do this, and they don't want to continue. There is something fundamental about failure and disappointment that makes people stop and give up the race. And that is because emotional pain is regulated in the brain exactly the same way as physical pain is. And so it's important that we don't set ourselves up to fail by giving ourselves too big a task, but that we learn to grow in confidence as we achieve those small goals to start off with, so that we have the confidence and we build up the resilience and we have the thick skin of previous successes to hold us in those times when we have those disappointments and those setbacks. And so it's important to set smart goals that can be achieved, that are realistic, and that can have set timed scales and objectives so that we can see if we are on track. Number 15 is to focus on positives. Focus on the positives. So, one of the things that often happens is when we are trying to do something new, when we are faced with a dilemma or a problem, something that needs to be resolved, what tends to happen with your thinking? Are you someone who thinks on all the things that could go right? Or are you someone who dwells on all the things that could go wrong? And so it's really important that we are aware of this and we start to fine tune our thinking. Because if we are focusing on the negative, what good can come out of that? If we're looking at what we can't do, what good is going to come out of that? So think on the things that are good and build on them. Focusing on lack only produces lack. Focusing on fear only produces fear. And so it's important to focus on solutions instead of the problems, because that's one of the best ways that you can build your confidence and your career. Remember, where the mind goes, the energy flows. And if you are focusing on what you can't do, what's going to go wrong, and why you shouldn't move forwards, don't be surprised if you are controlled and held captive by fear, false evidence appearing real. And so focus on the positives. Why not think about all the ways it could go well? Why not think about all the ways that you are the right person for that job, for that interview, for that situation, for that circumstance? Do not dwell and focus on the negative, because that's all it's going to produce, negative. Number 16, and this is around public speaking. So I know many people find it difficult and struggle to speak in public and to be able to show up. Well, there's something that you can do before you're going to do that talk, before you're going to present in whatever way that may be. So before you're going to go into that presentation, before you've gone into the room where everyone is, find a quiet space where you're by yourself. And what you would do is you will kind of press against the wall as if you're going to do a press up, a push up, sorry. And the reason why you do this, and you just push against that, and the reason why you do this is because this helps to release a lot of muscular tension that will be built up in the body because you've had this adrenaline release and you're not necessarily doing anything with it. And so by doing that, you can release a lot of that energy that frees you up, that allows you to move and be nimble and be a bit more relaxed when you go forth. And it also makes you feel powerful. And when you feel powerful, you feel confident. So that's just a little, hack and trick of something you can do before you're going to go and do that public speaking. Number 17 is the mirror. Yes, the mirror. So, one of the things that people can get caught up with is what I call synthetic confidence. You see, real confidence is being able to look in the mirror at yourself and being able to see the positive attributes. Looking at yourself and be able to say, yeah, I like that guy. I like that woman. Being able to see not just your physical, but you can see your value based system. You can see your emotional bank account. You can see how you function as an individual. You can see the strength of character. You can see that you're someone who does what is right over what is easy. That's true confidence. So when you look in the mirror, that you can see the multi-dimensional facets of who you are, mind, body, soul, and spirit, and you have a gratitude and a thankfulness for who you are and what you've done and how you ended that last day. And that's true confidence. And this will do much more for you than having a fancy car or a watch, because that's synthetic confidence. Some people are only confident when they have everyone around, or because they have a big car, or because they have a really nice watch. But what happens when you take off the watch and you've got to look at yourself in the mirror? What happens when you get out of the car? What happens when everyone else ain't around? Some people are scared to sit in silence. Some people are afraid to be by themselves because that's when they have to deal with the person in the mirror. But when you have confidence in yourself, when you have done things the right way, and you can look in the mirror and smile back at yourself and be proud of what you see from all of those different dimensional parts of who you are, that's real confidence. And that happens by the decisions you make. That's the result of the things that you say that are in line with your values. And that's because you have done the best that you can. Regardless of the outcome, you've done the best that you could. You showed up. And it's as you grow in doing that day by day that you get better, stronger, and wiser. Number 18, learning to say no the right way. And so many people struggle with this, being able to say no to people, whether it's their partner, whether it's their friend, whether it's their manager, whether it's their colleague, whether it's a stranger. And it's really important that we have the confidence to be able to say no. It's your right, your God given right to be able to say no, to not partake in those things that you don't want to do. And so when we are saying no, it's important to make your tone deeper, to make the length of the word longer, and to make your body language reflect your words. So what do I mean by that? Someone could be asking me to do something and I go, no, 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 no. Or I could say, no, I don't want any of that cake. No, I'm not going to that party. No, you cannot borrow my pen. And so it's really important to be able to say it with confidence because people can pick up the energy, the frequency in where and how you say things. And they can know and understand when your no means if you keep pushing this, it will become yes. And when your no means I said no, end of. So learn to say no the right way and do it with confidence because if you do not want something to happen, that's the end of it, regardless of what the other person wants. And so learn to say no the right way. Number 19, keep your small promises. This is one of the most fundamental things that you can do if you want your confidence to grow, to evolve, and to elevate. One of the worst things that you can do for your confidence is to not keep your promises. And I'll tell you why. Think of confidence as a balloon. So imagine there's this big orange balloon here, okay? And that is my confidence balloon. And every time I keep a promise to myself that I have made, that balloon grows. So I made a promise I'm going to get up at 5:30 and go to the gym. It grows. I made a promise that I'm going to eat 5 fruit and veg today, and I do, and it grows. Okay? But whenever I don't keep that promise, it diminishes. So I say to myself, I'm going to say no to Joe Blogs when they ask me if I want to go out for a drink, and I don't do it. I make a promise that I'm going to express gratitude um, to someone who's done something for me, and I don't do it. I say to myself, I'm going to speak up when there's things happening that I'm not happy with, and I don't do it. And it gets lower and gets lower. And that's what's happening. And so just think in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year, how much times are you keeping those small promises to yourself, those things that you said that you're going to do? And the more that you do it, it validates you. That's how you validate yourself. That's how you see your self worth. That's how you can understand your value and your worth by the promises you keep to yourself. And so I encourage you today to make 3 small promises to yourself each day and see what happens. If you keep them, and I'm not talking about massive promises, I'm talking about small promises to yourself for good things, for things that you're going to do that align with your values, that help to lead you to your purpose, that will help you in fulfilling your goals and that unite you with your why, your purpose in life. Set 3 small promises to yourself each day, and I guarantee you, in a couple of weeks, you won't even recognize the person you are because your confidence levels, because your confidence balloon will be so big, it'll be so powerful, it'll be so fortified that it enables you to do things that you never thought you could do. Number 20 is write yourself a self-confidence letter. So write a letter to yourself in relation to self-confidence. And what you will do with that is that letter will be something that you will come back to and reflect on in your low moments. In those times when you've made a mistake or you didn't get it right or you had a setback or someone told you no, which really means next opportunity, or when you failed, which means first attempt in learning, that you can call upon and use that letter as your own counselor, as your own coach, as your own motivation to remind you of who you are, of what you stand for, and why you should continue the battle, the fight, the journey. You see, people will always be quick to highlight your flaws. When you make a mistake, people will bring that up. People will remind you of your past, even though it was meant to be a lesson and not a prison sentence. They want to hold you bound and captive to what you did to them 2, 3, 5, 10, 15 years ago. But you must be quick to remind yourself of your good points as well. And that's what this letter will do. It will be your tool, it will be your mechanism to bring you back on track, to get you in alignment again. And so this tool can help you weather the storm. And if you don't have something like this or a similar tool, your inner critic will have a field day with you on those days when you feel down. Because it is relentless, the inner critic. And one thing about the inner critic is it never walks about alone. It is always in fellowship with its best friend, the rats, the reoccurring afflicted thoughts. And these two work together to pound your mind with intruding thoughts, to tell you you cannot do it, to operate out of the 3 L's, to bring limit, lack, and labels, to make you think and believe that you cannot do it, to shatter the very foundation of your confidence and make you doubt yourself in everything you do. And so it's so important to have your shield, your letter of self-confidence that you write to yourself to be able to battle against and shield off the inner critic and the rats that seek just 1 inch so they can take a mile of your confidence away from you. And the final one that we're going to be talking about today, out of the 21 tips, is challenge your imposter syndrome. We have to challenge the imposter syndrome, the mechanism that brings about stinking thinking. You see, your imposter syndrome is a nasty mental bug. It is the COVID-19 of your mind that spreads and contaminates every area of your mind, that convinces you that your accomplishments, that the things that you have done, that they don't really count, that it was fluke, that it was luck, that you're a fraud, that you're a phony, that you're no good, that people are going to find out eventually and you're going to lose your job and you're going to lose your position and no one's going to believe and talk to you because you're really just a fake and a phony. That's what imposter syndrome tells you. That's what it does to 95% of people. 95% of the population would experience imposter syndrome at some point in their life. And so it's important to understand and be aware of this, that we have to challenge it. And I'm sure you've all experienced this, that sometimes you could be sitting down or doing something and you're doing it well. And this thought comes from nowhere. What if it goes wrong? Do you really think you can do it? And you're like, what the? Get out of it. You have to challenge it. You have to challenge it, because that imposter syndrome is seeking a way in. It wants to stop you. Its destiny is to stop you. Your destiny is to succeed and achieve and accomplish that which was put on this earth to do. Its destiny is to stop you from doing it. And so, imposter syndrome is relentless. It doesn't take no time off. It doesn't want any annual leave. It doesn't get sick. So you have to make sure whenever it comes, in whatever way, shape, or form, that you are ready to address and deal with it. And this is not a battle that can be won with the might of your hands. This is a battle that is won with the might in your mind. And so you have to take control of your thoughts and your thinking. You have to become the security guard of your mind. You have to become the FBI agent of your thinking. You have to become the CIA inspector of the thoughts you entertain. And you have to recognize when it's trying to come in, sneak in like a terrorist, and blow up every single aspect of your confidence. And so I want you to begin to fight. I want you to begin to challenge. I want you to begin to fight the good fight for your confidence. And know that if you allow it to keep speaking, it will destroy and stop you from achieving your goals. So remember, whenever that thought comes, whenever that negative thought comes from nowhere, speaking trash about what you can't do, you have to counteract it with an affirmation. You have to counteract it by speaking into being who you are and what you're going to do. Focus on what the things that you want to achieve rather than the things that it's telling you to look at, the lies that it's telling you to look at. And so when we start to do that and we begin to challenge it, we start to realize how much of a liar it is. We start to realize that we have much more power than we thought. And we become more confident to recognize the next time, oh, here we go, there's imposter syndrome, get out of here, not even listening to you. And you start to deal with it differently rather than saying, oh my God, is that true? Oh my God, I can't do it. Oh my God, I'm a failure. Why would anyone believe me? Remember, remember this, make a note. And that is that whenever you are thinking something, okay, think of your thoughts as another individual. Think of your thoughts as someone else. And ask yourself, the things that we tolerate when we're thinking these things, which we think is us, which is really the imposter syndrome or fear or limiting beliefs. If someone else was saying those things to you, would you sit down and take it? No, you wouldn't. And so I want you to start to see your thoughts as someone else. And if it's someone else who's saying positive things to you, great, stay in their presence. But if it is something that's constantly saying negative things to you and putting you down, you wouldn't stay in that room, in that environment. So don't do it in the environment of your mind. And so it's really important that we fight and challenge. the imposter syndrome. So the final thing that I'm going to touch on, for those who someone had put in a question before, and if you do have any questions or things that you want to ask, you know, you can type them in, and I will cover that afterwards. But this was a question that someone had put forward to me before, and it was to ask, how do you overcome speaking in large groups? So this was someone who wanted to build their confidence when speaking in large groups. And there is a few things you can do. So I'm just going to drop some things on you quickly. Number one is breathe, is to breathe. Okay. So many people, when they're facing something and they feel a bit anxious or they feel a bit unsure, they stop breathing. So not completely, but it's, you know, take deep breaths in, because deep breathing helps to calm you down. It helps to calm down your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest. And as a result of that, it helps you to relax. Okay. It helps to take you out of the fight or flight mode, which means that whatever you're saying and whatever you're doing, you'll be more fluid and relaxed in how you do it. Number two, as I was talking about earlier, remember, you can either look at it as you're nervous or you can look at it as you're excited. Tell yourself you are excited. Your body will react and adapt to that. Number three, you can use minimal notes. Okay, so if you're going to be doing a talk, if you're going to be discussing something or doing a presentation, you know, you don't have to do everything off the cuff and trying to remember everything. You can have some minimal notes, some one liners or words that are key prompts or key points for you, that even if you come off track, you can look at that and it will remind you of what you need to cover under that section. Number four, become comfortable with the pause. And what I mean by the pause is that taking breaks within when you are speaking, taking a breath, taking your time. And if you think that periodically you want to give a pause and you do that, it will help you to seem more confident rather than, as I was saying earlier, you know, machine gun talking just to try and get it through as quick as possible. So taking those pauses and recognizing by doing that, you are showing confidence. Number five, be aware of your hand gestures. Okay. So it's important to have balance with this. So there's nothing wrong with being able to move your hands and to articulate and to do different shapes. Okay. But you don't want to be doing this. You know, you don't want to be talking like that all the time because it just becomes confusing for people. And at the same time, you don't want to just talk like this the whole time, just completely still. Yeah. So it's about finding a balance with this and using gestures that help to articulate your message. So if I say things like, there was so much people spread all around, you can see that the gestures that I'm using helps to facilitate what I'm saying. Or if I said, you know, it's a really small thing that we have to deal with at this time. Yeah. So you can use gestures to help create the visual for the message that you're saying. Number six is to know your material. Okay, it's vitally important to know your material. You have to know the topic that you're going to be talking about. And in order to know it, you need to plan, plan, and plan. Prior preparation prevents poor performance. The 5 P's. Prior preparation, sorry, prevents poor performance. So if you know your material, you've prepped and planned, you're at your best chance to deliver the best version of yourself. Number seven, incorporate visual prompts. Okay. So when you're talking or when you're doing a presentation or something, you can have, you know, visual prompts, and they can help for two reasons. One is it can get the eyes off you. So if you have like some slides that you're using, or you're using a flip chart board, you're using something that gets people's attention, it gets their eyes off you, and that helps you to feel a bit more comfortable, especially in the beginning stages when you're just coming to terms of speaking in large groups. But the second thing is it can be very powerful for visual learners. Visual learners love to see visual things, and it helps them to remember and appreciate what was being said because they have that visual element that adds to how it's registered in their mind. Number 8 is practice, 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 practice. So, one of the things, if you want to become more confident in speaking in large groups, is whenever you've got a presentation or a talk, to practice it beforehand. Okay? Practice it several times and practice it out loud so you can hear how it sounds, so you can see how it flows, so you can feel how it feels to be doing that. And so that by the time you get to when you're actually presenting it, you've done it so many times that you naturally just feel more confident about it. And the ninth and final one that I would say is visualize and expect things to go well. So one of the things that can be really powerful is not just practicing it and saying it out loud, but also visualizing how you want to be, visualize that how it's going to go, visualizing how people are going to respond to you, visualizing how people are going to receive that message. Visualize yourself as a confident individual speaking and articulating your voice in a profound manner that captivates the audience, that unlocks insight and empowers people, and that you get a standing ovation and that people are really blessed by what you have imparted into them. Visualize it, see it. And so that when you finally get onto that stage with all of your practice, with all of your planning, with all of your prompts and your tools that you have with you, and all of that visualization that you have done, and you will find that you deliver that presentation in such a way that it blows everyone away. And so, these are the 21 tips for building confidence. And so I hope you got something from them. I hope you found them useful. I hope that there is things that you will take away from this and apply to your life so that you can grow and nurture the gift of confidence that is within you so that you are empowered to move forth in a different way, to do things differently, to challenge and to address those situations that you were once tolerating and allowing to happen in your life so that you can begin to live the best version of who you are. And so, thank you for your time today. I hope you found it useful. And so, one of the things that I did say, so for those who had signed up, that there will be a copy of my self awareness and empowerment toolkit that I will be giving a free version away to one of the people who have joined today. So I'm going to, how am I going to do this? What I will do is I'm going to give you a number between 1 and 4. Okay, between 1 and 4. And okay, so between the two people who are on, I want you to choose a number between 1 and 4. Hopefully, you both say the same number, not one say one and one say the other. So let's see, or who puts the number in first? Either put in 1 or 4, so that we can see that will be the number of the person who I'm going to choose to see who can get the free gift of the self awareness and empowerment toolkit. So either put a 1 or a 4 in the chat. So we got a 4. Okay, we got a 4. So number 4 is, let me just check. Milena. Milena, are you with us? Are you one of the two who's still with us? If you are, put a yes in the chat. Elena, if that's you who with us, I'm going to give you another 5 seconds. Okay, you're not. So that means by default, the other person who is here who has registered will be Nathan. So Nathan, that congratulations, you will be the person who will be receiving your free copy of the self-awareness, self-empowerment toolkit. So I will be emailing that out to you. And just so you know, it covers a whole load of different things, covers self-reflection, affirmations, comfort zones, the ABC activities. So looking at the activity, the belief and the consequences. Um, Also, a letter to say goodbye to negativity, addressing negative thoughts, setting smart goals, looking at my circle exercise to kind of look at the people who in your life and where you want them to be, and some self-empowerment quotes. So I will be sending that to you shortly. So hopefully you enjoy that. And so, yeah, thank you all for your time. We've come to the end of it. If there is no questions and nothing anyone wants to ask, then I'll say to you, have a great evening and use these tools, and hopefully they will help you out. Take care. This is Ezra, aka the voice of reason, over and out.